Hello, everybody. It is role play with Laura Ward in a Zoom room with other human beings. So I am sharing this with the YouTube family. So today, I think let's start with just rubbing our hands together. And like if you were doing Reiki, you would always start with rubbing your hands together, creating that energy, creating that heat. So many things we can rub our hands together to feel our two hands rubbing against each other. So tune into your awareness and see if you have sort of an equal sense of awareness on both sides of your body. If your right and your left hands equally sense touch and being touched, you may need to slow it down to get more into that sensation of who's doing the work, who's receiving the work, if the balance of giving and receiving is happening on both sides. And then you can stop them and just bring your hands right next to each other. And you're going to really slowly untouch your hands and then slowly bring them back together. So just feeling the heat as they come together and feeling them come apart. So we're just tuning into our sensation of physical sensation of awareness, feeling that light touch, letting it push in and then coming away, sensing temperature, sensing heat between our hands, and sort of slowing ourselves down into this place of awareness. I've been doing so much lymph flush. I think I'm actually not going to do it today. So feel free to always look back at other videos for the lymph flush because you can do it every day. But I think I want to start working a little bit more with our faces. And so taking our hands and just taking them gently, cupping over your eyes. So I'm putting like the palm of my hand over my eye, over each eye. And once I'm in this place, I'm going to think of my shoulders, inviting my shoulders to relax. And as my shoulders are relaxing, maybe thinking of relaxing down my whole body in towards the floor. So maybe giving in to the sensation of gravity, letting the sensation of gravity keep us connected to the earth so we feel our butts on the ground. We can feel the weightedness of our bones. And then to tune into this idea of our eyeballs as being these big balls of water, these big water globes that are sort of floating in there in our heads. Oh, lovely. And as we are floating our water balls in our eye, our eye sockets, maybe just really gently and softly, and it doesn't have to be a lot of movement, just letting your eyes go from side to side a little bit, like they're floating in the horizontal plane. A little side motion. And let's add a hum to that. So it'll be like, actually, let's add a so that it's not, you can open your eyes for a second and look at what I'm doing. So instead of maybe so my tongue's kind of on the top, like an NG sound. So with our eyes closed, hands over the eyeballs, going with a and it can last as long as it lasts. Maybe not very long. And I like to kind of chew with my mouth a little bit so that, not my teeth, but letting my mouth kind of open and close. So the sort of thickness and density of my tongue is kind of waving in the top of my mouth, in the roof of my mouth. And as it's doing that, I'm also changing pitch a little bit and just bringing my awareness into the bones of my skull and the vibration in my skull. And for me, as I move my tongue to different as I'm moving my mouth around, I feel the vibration shift to different locations in there. If your arms get tired, you can let your hands fall away. And just keeping your eyes closed, letting your head turn from side to side. And you could do this laying down. You could do this seated. Yeah, seated, laying down. You could even do it from all fours, but just turning your head, because there's a lot of activity over here in my house today. Cat, mother, actions. It's so fun. Yeah, easy, easy, easy. And so what I like to invite at this point, it has already arrived for me, is a sense of humor into our bodies. What can we find like that is just sort of funny and find some lightness with that? Eyes, head, neck, very easy. Jaw, bones of the cranium, spacious. Letting that head turn, if you're turning far, letting that start to waken up all the way down the spine. So thinking of from the brain down through the spinal cord, out through the arms, out through the legs, this whole nervous system as like this main river of energy coming down the spine and then radiating out through these tributaries and deltas of the arms, all coming sort of from the brain and also returning back to the brain. So our nervous system, our venous system, and our lymphatic system are all really interconnected and interwoven. And all of that is routed through our fascia. So just let's invite in, I'm going to take it down to the floor myself, invite in some movement of that whole eyeballs, cranium, brain, spinal cord, out into the limbs. And I'm going to invite in a sense of, with my sense of humor in my body, a sense of free flow. So like a childlike or baby-like sense of body. So it's not this hard, like crystallized adult version. It's a very soft, fluid, easy version. And in that very soft, easy, playful version of yourself, you can move in any way that feels good. So the invitation with role play is to sort of roll around, but it doesn't have to be rolling around. You could also be in stillness. Yeah, so for me, as I roll, I'm on the hard floor, which has a different relationship than when I roll on something softer. So my fascia, my bones, the dense parts of my body can really relate down to the ground in this version. And they also get a little bit more of pressure. There's more pressure on the body if it's on a harder surface. If you're on a soft surface, that is fine too. And in this work, we want to work on in a position, in a relationship to the floor that's going to feel sustainable. So that might mean using more padding or even doing this on a bed. So the benefit we're getting is from moving from the inside to the outside, but also moving, feeling the floor connecting to our body, or feeling the mat or the carpet, whatever we're connecting to. Awakening our proprioception, maybe our interoception, our kinesthetic awareness, all these different sensings that we have that we can access through physical movement, physical sensation. So as I'm moving my whole vascular system, I'm moving my nervous system, I'm moving the fascia, and the lymph is going to move with that. They're all very connected. And the slower I move with that, the more my body has a chance to adapt. So like any kind of changes in the fascia are going to happen really slow unless it's an injury or a tear. So we want to work with slow movement, giving yourself time and space, time and spaciousness. allowing your body to become curious. Like, what's possible? What can it do? What feels good? What's delicious? Tuning into deliciousness. And working in any position. You could be seated, you could be laying down, you could be on all fours, you could even stand up. Stand up. And we're working with micro movements, small little movements inside of macro movement. Letting internal adjustments happen, just awakening and enlivening. So all of this is building this deeper connection between our brains and our bodies. So like activating sort of neural connections. And when we start to move in different ways, we start to invite the possibility of different behavior, releasing things that are sticking or stuck within us, freeing it up. So like we're kind of like, in a weird way, filtering the river of our body of water, filtering our own existence. Like if we think of a stagnant water that isn't moving, it gets a little fetid. But when we start to move, filtering, we start to clear up some of the detritus in there. And maybe the detritus is like on an emotional level, maybe it's on a physiological level, maybe it's on a spiritual level, whatever level, maybe it's on all of them at the same time. We're just inviting ourselves to find ways of being easier in our body. And if it's easier for us to be in our body, hopefully it's easier for us to be in the world. So I'm going to give us music, and I'm going to stop talking maybe for this next little music section. We'll go back to some Anthony stuff. How's the volume? Can you hear it? No volume? Oh, you know why? Because I haven't shared sound. How's that? Yeah. If it's too loud or disturbing, let me know. Cassie, is it loud enough?
What sunny day, gentle lies before you went away. Your sweetest smile stay a while, but you've gone away. Oh, I miss you, dear. away.
Oh yeah, I see Cassie's got some self-touch going on there. So I just want to invite that in as well. Like a lot of us, I think, are living fairly um, isolated lives compared to what we might have lived before. So giving yourself a little touch. Also, so we have that we can be touched by the floor, but we can also be touched by ourselves. And that sense of sensing touching and being touched at the same time. It's quite a complicated procedure to feel both sides of that. So maybe it pings back and forth from one to the other. And we started with that hand connection early, feeling into that again. And maybe that leads into some different kind of movement when we play with this idea of connection. So one thing that I've been really thinking about lately and is the cells in our body. And so in different parts of our body, the cells are different ages. So like us as a whole person have things that are brand new from, yesterday, the day before, cells in our body. And then we have ones that are years and years and years old. So sometimes like, I think it's some of the heart cells or some of the oldest cells, but different cells in your body, they die off, they are replaced. And when that's a healthy pattern, we stay fairly healthy when our body just reabsorbs what's happening, what's dying. So thinking of that sort of timeless agelessness of our cells, because they are so many different ages. The wisdom of the older cells and the newness and the youth of our younger cells. And then maybe coming back into some kind of stillness. And let's end it with also that sound. And maybe micro movement with the sound. So I'm going to think micro movement in the spine. So like real free flow of the river of your spine from your head to your tail. Just adding in the for as long as it feels good. That's going to stimulate our vagus nerve, which is one of the rest and digest, soothe and settle regulators of our digestion, our heart, our breath, and even our orgasms. So we want that happy. It's true. Got some wide eyes there. Excellent. So people in TV land, I'm going to close it out. People in the actual room, stick around for a minute.